Finally, good news has arrived, and that is Federal Skilled Worker Program and Canadian Experience Class Programs applicants. Their draws will be resumed in the coming spring, guys. The minister's comments on restarting skilled worker draws are consistent with backlog statistics and international Ircc briefing materials. In a recent interview, Immigration Minister Sean Fraser stated that the agency plans to begin express entry drawing for skilled workers in the spring. Minister Fraser spoke with ApplyBoard in a virtual interview on foreign students' difficulties. One of the minister's responsibilities is to establish avenues for international students and temporary foreign workers and temporary foreign employees to get permanent status. The minister responded to queries in a chat box about when express entry draws for federal high-skill applicants will continue after the completion of the interview. Candidates who are qualified for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the Canadian Experience Class Program, and Federal Skilled Trade Programs fall within the Federal High Skill category, guys. Since December 2020, Ircc has not issued an express entry draw for Federal Skilled Worker Program applicants, and Canadian Experience Class draws have been on hold since September 2021. Express entry applicants who may be qualified for immigration under these programs are unable to apply without these draws. So the good news for Federal Skilled Worker Program and Canadian Experience Class Program is that their waiting time is now reduced. This summer draws will be resumed, guys. He also talked about international students who are working on post-graduation work permit here, and he said people working in Canada under a post-graduation work permit which may be about to expire were also recognized by Fraser. He also mentioned them in his interview. Post-graduation work permit holders who do not have an invitation to apply will be unable to apply for immigration and become eligible for a bridging open work permit. So they will not be able to apply for a bridging open work permit, guys, if they have not received an invitation to apply, which will allow them to stay and work lawfully when the post-graduation work permit expires. A post-graduation work permit cannot be renewed or extended on its own. Post-graduation work permit holders will need to seek a new work permit. Either they have to quit their employment, possibly they have to leave Canada when their current status expires. Fraser also said we are looking at different options right now to make sure we don't lose out on talent. And he said we will have much more to say on this in the week and months ahead. So there are so many things to be announced for international student situations in these coming weeks and in the coming months, guys. Why Federal Skilled Worker Program draws have been paused since 2020? Before the pandemic, you know that Federal Skilled Worker Program candidates, they were invited to apply for permanent residence more than any other express entry managed program, guys, due to their high numbers in the express entry pool. The reasons for the pause in Federal Skilled Worker Program draws goes back to the onset of the global pandemic situation in March 2020. Canada closed its borders for international travelers with some exemptions. Immigration applicants who were approved from any country outside of Canada and the United States and who were not otherwise exempt were not allowed to complete their permanent residency landing. As Federal Skilled Worker Program candidates oftentimes overseas, approving them for permanent residence would create a situation where applicants would not be able to complete their landing. In time, their confirmation of permanent residence validity would run out and they would not be able to become a permanent residence with an expired document. This measure was in place until June 2021, guys. In order to meet its immigration targets amid these travel restrictions, Ircc focused its immigration efforts on admitting as many applicants as possible who were already in Canada. To do this, the department held large express entry invitations rounds for Canadian Experience Class candidates and created the temporary residence to permanent residence. However, this strategy led to a backlog in immigration applications. The number of Federal Skilled Worker Program and Canadian Experience Class applications in Ircc's inventory grew up so much that there was no way for the department to meet the processing standard of 6 months. As per recent Ircc public record, Federal Skilled Worker Program processing time is expected to rise to 36 months in 2022. The government website does not reflect this reality. However, Fraser previously said the government web page issue should be fixed in the coming months, guys. Why Canadian Experience class draws have been paused since fall? IRCC invited record numbers of Canadian Experience class candidates at a time in 2021. That February, IRCC invited every single Canadian Experience class candidates in the express entry poll. A total of 47,332 invitations. The lowest scoring candidates invited had a comprehensive ranking system score of 75. In the following months, about 6,000 Canadian Experience class candidates were invited about every 2 weeks, guys. Similar to what happened to Federal Skilled Worker Program candidates, the inventory of Canadian Experience class candidates grew up to the point that IRCC could not meet the processing standard. Officials decided to pause applications intake for the program to allow time for officers to process the applications that were already in the inventory. The processing time for Canadian Experience class is about 7 months, according to both internal records and the government website, guys. So let me talk about a little bit the current situation of express entry. Canada has been holding express entry draws for provincial nominee program candidates every 2 weeks. These candidates were eligible for one of the federal highest skill programs and receive a provincial nomination. With the nomination in hand, they were awarded 600 additional CRS points and the chance to be invited in a PNP specific round of invitations. So what are the signs of progress in IRCC's backlog? The most recent IRCC inventory data shows that between February 28 and March 15, IRCC processed 4,000 Federal Skilled Worker Program applicants, which is more than were processed in a 7-month period in 2021. Canada has already admitted more Federal Skilled Worker Program immigrants in 2022 that it did in all of last year. There are 10,400 Canadian Experience class persons left to be processed. As in 42 days, IRCC was able to process 4,751 Canadian Experience class applicants. At this rate, IRCC could reduce current backlog this spring. So the newly released memo suggests Federal Skilled Worker Program will resume in 2022, guys. Candidates in the poll, including those whose work permits are due to expire, will continue to face uncertainty with respect to receiving their invitation to apply in the short term. Once invitation to apply rounds resume later in 2022, candidates could check their CRS score again against the minimum CRS score that was necessary to receive an invitation to apply in those rounds. Although the memo is heavily redacted, it explains IRCC's position in respect to resuming express entry rounds for Federal Skilled Worker Program and Canadian Experience class candidates. By continuing pause until at least March 31st, it will allow IRCC to further address its inventory backlog. The full length of the pause will need to be determined by IRCC's evolving priorities. IRCC needs to resume Federal Skilled Worker Program and Canadian Experience class draws this year to meet targets, guys. In order for IRCCs to achieve the 2023 express entry admissions targets in the 2022 to 2024 immigration level plan, IRCC needs to issue invitation to apply in 2022, guys. It takes express entry candidates about a year to submit an application for permanent residency. They have 60 days to apply once they get an invitation to apply. Then it takes at least 6 months for the application to go through. After approval, they have a certain amount of time to land. Another reason IRCC will likely hold Federal Skilled Worker Program or Canadian Experience class draws in the coming months is to address the problem of workers losing status in Canada. And further also said, I don't want to see people who have a job, who are making a contribution, who want to stay, to leave at the same time that I am trying to cure the labor shortage by embracing immigration. This is Khalil. If you haven't subscribed my channel yet, please do subscribe it. Hit the bell icon button to get new videos notifications on time. If you found this video informative and helpful, then give a big thumb to this video. Thanks for watching this video. Hope see you soon in Canada, guys.